Hey everyone, welcome to Tech Talk. Today I have Will Stevenson with Onboard to talk about his product, which I'm really excited about, which is Onboard, a way to faster onboard your customers in a streamlined way. His software is very simple and streamlined, allowing you to get your customers to value as quickly as possible. Will is the founder of Onboard, and again, he's going to walk us through some of the key features of this platform and how you can onboard your customers. So Will, let's walk through this platform together.
Cool. All right, well, let me pull up my screen here and we'll get set up. So what we're looking at here is the Maps tab. A map is simply a dynamic checklist, or what some other project management tools might call a project. So we call it a map. But before we dive into that, and kind of the agenda that I want to walk through is, first, from an administrative standpoint, how you set Onboard up, and then we'll talk about how your onboarders or onboarding specialists will use it. And then lastly, we'll talk about the customer side and what they'll experience and see. So first and foremost, when we're thinking about onboarding new customers, and we're talking about setting up Onboard here, what we like to do is walk through the process of listing out your variables. A variable is just a customer attribute. So it's the things that determine how you're going to onboard your customers. A couple of common examples. One is plan. So if you have a starter, pro, and enterprise plan, you're going to onboard your enterprise clients differently than you're going to onboard your starter clients. Same thing on the integration type, which is another pretty common example here. If you have someone that's going to integrate with your product via direct API, you're going to onboard them differently than if they're going to integrate with your Salesforce app. So first and foremost, let's start with customer attributes, or what we call variables. Let's list those out, get all the options included there. Then we'll jump over here to the task tab. This is really your global task list. So it's every possible task that can be done in onboarding. And you'll notice some are marked internal, some are not. Any of the tasks that are marked as internal, your team will see, your customer will not see. But basically what we're doing is, when we create these tasks, we're tying these tasks to those variables that we created earlier. So you see this task, update custom branding, it's tied to the enterprise plan. And if it were tied to the enterprise plan, professional plan, and starter plan, it'd show up no matter what plan you select when you go to create your map. Because it's just tied to the enterprise plan here, it's only going to show up if we select enterprise. A couple other things that you can do here. You can set default due dates. So let's say that we wanted to make this task due 0 days after the map is created, or 1 day or 2 days or 3 days or whatever it is. You can set that inside of the edit task. And last but not least, you can embed videos, embed videos, pictures, all that good stuff, create lists, add hyperlinks, anything that would be needed for your customer to get this task completed most efficiently. So that's really the setup from an administrative standpoint. The other thing that I'll say is you can drag and drop these tasks wherever you want. We're really, really dynamic. So super modern technology. So anything that you need to do here from a drag and drop reposition standpoint, you can do.
And those kickoff, it says kickoff phase, configuration phase. Are those sections on the top right where you can add sections and kind of bucket those under different parts?
Exactly. So sections are a way to group tasks together. So your customers, when they ultimately get access to this, they're going to see those sections and they're going to see the tasks underneath those sections. And you can also give them a little preview of what the section is setting out to accomplish.
And again, anything with that internal tag means that the customer won't see it, but it's a good reminder, something that internally we need to do on our side to set this customer up for success.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Good example is down here at the bottom, we have check-in and handoff. So you may not want your client to see a task that says that you're going to check in with them. but it's a good internal reminder there. Yep, exactly. So let's jump to the maps table over here. This is really where the magic happens. So the map is, again, I'm acting as your onboarder or onboarding specialist in this case. So when they log in, they're actually not going to see variables and tasks. They're just going to see the maps tab and the customers tab. But what they're going to do is they're going to click add map. And usually this process gets kicked off post sign up, right? So new client signs the contract, gets handed off to your onboarding person, and your onboarding person takes it from there and they create the map. You can also do this in an automated way through our API or through Zapier if you wanted to automatically create those maps. So
and this is something you said that they would do, as in the customer success or the implementation specialist would create.
Exactly.
For the customer.
Yep, yep, exactly. So I'm going to create a naming convention here. And Workday is the company, right? It's a customer name. But you also see that I put like a dash new customer onboarding. You can also put the month and the year or whatever naming convention makes sense for you. But really the purpose of this is you can technically have multiple maps per customer. So good example there is new customer onboarding. We have that map, and 6 months later they upgrade. So you're going to want to take them through an onboarding process for that as well. So you can also enter a target launch date here, and that's the target launch date that you hope the customer is live by. You can change the owner if it's not you, but chances are when you're creating the map, you're going to own that customer. And then this is the magic. So the magic is, rather than having templates set up, you use these variables to create the dynamic checklist. So the challenge that I've had in the past with templates is they're hard to manage from an admin standpoint, and they're hard to use from an onboarding standpoint. Anytime something has to change, you have to go back. One task change, you have to go back and edit it across 5 templates, right? Here, you don't have to do that. You edit it in the global task tab, and it's ready to roll for any new customer. So what we're going to do here, though, is these are all the variables that we had set up. So our customers have completely different variables than this in many cases. Sometimes they have 2, sometimes they have 10. It really just depends on the use case. But you can create unlimited variables here. For our use case, I'm going to say this is a new customer. They're on the enterprise plan. They're going to use the Salesforce integration and the Zapier integration. And the add-ons are advanced reporting. And I click save. And when I do that, it generates that dynamic checklist. So here it is. Because I selected enterprise, this update custom branding task gets pulled in. If you remember at the beginning of the demo, we showed that task is only tied to enterprise clients. So if we would have selected professional or starter, this task wouldn't be here. So you'll see due dates are automatically filled in because we're using the default due date functionality. You'll see the internal tasks here as well. But really what you do from here as the onboarder is you start inviting people. So you can invite people from your team. So I can invite Matt from my team, right? I can also go over to the customer tab here, the Workday team in this case, and I'll type in Jeff Johns 2021 plus 5@gmail.com. You can tell I've used this email a couple times in demos, and I'll click send invitation. So we'll come back to that in just a second to show you what Jeff will see. But really what you're doing is you're assigning people from here. So I'm assigning Jeff to this. I'm assigning, this is internal, so I'll assign Matt to this, so on and so forth, all the way down the list. And then people will start completing them, right? So Matt will complete this task, the client will complete this task, and you'll notice that this progress bar will automatically update, and so will this status. It moved from new to in progress. So the dynamic status is a really important thing here because it helps us stay on track. So if I were to take this due date and move it back, for example, it's going to automatically update to stalled. So if we're on our maps tab, we can easily look at all of our maps and say, Workday's stalled for some reason. Why is that? I click in and I can easily see that yesterday we were supposed to have, or the client was supposed to schedule their kickoff call, right? And they didn't do it. So we can see why it got stalled. So again,
so that gives you kind of that big picture overview again of where, especially if you're leading a team of customer success, or implementation specialists, you can see where they stalled, where do they need help potentially, and just overall progress for all the major kind of projects that you're overseeing or you're leading as the CSM or onboarding specialist.
For sure. And I just checked this off and went back to in progress, but your CSM or onboarder can always come back here and manually move this to stalled. And that can flag the manager, right? Or the director of customer success or whoever that is.
Now, if I was working on an onboarding project with the customer and I was using Onboard to do that and something was stalled and I needed to maybe put some notes of why that was, is there a way to communicate the reasoning behind the status of stalled?
Yeah, so two things. One is a couple features that are actually coming out in the next couple of weeks here. One is this map overview. And what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to add a description there as to why the status is what it is. And another piece there is inside of a task, you're going to be able to, we're launching this feature called discussions, which is the customer is going to be able to make comments back and forth with the person that owns that map.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Great. What I love about this is, and I think there's a lot of different software out there that you could use potentially to onboard, but oftentimes it's, you mentioned, overcomplicated. It's hard to keep up to date. And so Onboard seems like it's very focused on the critical things that you need to do to onboard your customers and keeping the fluff out, like really keeping the implementation specialist or the CSM focused on the core tasks during that onboarding journey. And again, not trying to have every bell and whistle that is distracting or not used by someone in the onboarding process. We all know that if a customer comes on to their onboarding journey and they're confused or they feel overwhelmed, they're probably not going to complete that task. And so it looks like Onboard is aiming to be that clear kind of, here is a simple process for your customers that's not going to overwhelm them and keep them on track so that they can get to value as quickly as possible.
For sure. You hit the nail on the head. Let's talk through what the customer sees. So I'm in Jeff's email here. First of all, I can see that I got invited and I can see that I have a task assigned to me. But I'm going to click on this invite and we're going to look at what the customer sees here. So when this window opens here, very, very, very similar view to what your onboarder sees. So here's what your onboarder sees. I'll close this. You'll notice there are a few more tabs over here, and this stalled status and the internal tasks are here. Over here, those things are gone. So the customer is seeing a very, very similar view to what you are seeing as the onboarder and what you're seeing as the VP or director of customer success or onboarding, right? So the challenge that I've had in the past, or one really crazy challenge that I've had, is I've used Monday.com for this in the past, or Basecamp, or some project management tool. And the challenge becomes the views are different for depending on who you are, if you're the person onboarding or the person being onboarded. And it becomes really confusing when your clients ask you questions of, okay, well, how do I do this within Onboard or within Monday.com, right? And we're hoping, because the views are so similar between people that it's a really easy question to answer. The other thing is you'll notice that when we clicked on this link and we got taken to, again, what we call the
I was going to say
outboard.
that there was no login, right? They go straight to the straight to their tasks.
Yep, it's a magic link. So no username, no password that they have to remember.
Yeah, which I think is really important.
Yeah, so we validate through the email. So Jeff is actually logged in, and everything that Jeff does right now is being recorded as Jeff just did it, right? So I just checked this task off. It's being recorded as Jeff did that. So that's the client view. Super easy. They can invite people in from their team as well. We have a nice little view here that kind of keeps people separated. So you know who's on what team, but Jeff can invite people in from his team as well.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love it. I think it's really intuitive and simple, and something that is definitely important to help replace the oftentimes overwhelming feeling you get, especially if your onboarding process has a lot of sections, a lot of moving parts and variables. Keeping that all on track and being on the same page with your customer, super important, and just making sure they don't feel overwhelmed by the process of getting from A to B or A to Z, depending on how complex your onboarding journey can be. This feels like a very streamlined process to help them navigate those sections and those steps. And again, making it easy, not just for the customer, but also the team that you're working on to keep things up to date. Things change, right? New features come out, or new changes, new variables, new add-ons. Maybe your segments change. So this is a great way to keep that stuff up to date. And again, when you did that was on when you wanted to change, if you want to change a variable or something else, that's on the home page, correct?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So variables.
So you can come back and add to your variable list at any time. You can add to your global task list at any time. If you're an onboarder and you're inside of a map, all you have to do is scroll to the bottom and you can add one-off tasks at any time as well.
Okay.
So yeah, exactly. And I like what you said earlier. I mean, what we're really trying to do is eliminate the noise, right? There's a million different features and a million different softwares. Really what we're trying to do is boil it down to the most important features that are needed for onboarding customers and give those to our customers.
Well, thank you so much for doing this demo. Before we end, any other key parts that you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it. I mean, the only other thing that I would say is if people want a trial, or if you guys want access to the platform, you can go to onboard.io, sign up for our trial. It's a free 2-week trial. If we can help you at any point, let us know. And we also use Onboard to Onboard. So after you sign up, you'll get an invite to our client portal where all the setup tasks will live.
Hey, well, you heard them. So go ahead, sign up for those 2 weeks, try it out. And I'm certain that you're going to find a lot of value and use this to really help streamline your onboarding experience with Onboard. Well, thank you so much, Will, for jumping on this demo. This has been Tech Talk, and we will see you at the next video.
Thanks so much.
Bye.